Hi, I'm Emei, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Hello. What's up, guys?
Hello.
It's Rob here from Live Entertainment, finally hanging out with Emei. I've been wanting to sit down with you for some time. You are incredible. Your voice is incredible. Your songwriting is incredible.
You're so sweet.
I'm really curious, like, how did you kind of discover your sound and who you are as an artist? I feel like that's one of the hardest things to do when you're starting out and trying to discover where you fit in this music industry.
Totally. I feel like a lot of writing is just me like throwing paint at the wall and then seeing what sticks and then being like, oh wait, they're all making this pattern and then following that pattern. So for me, it's mostly just experimenting and then being like, oh, I like this and then doing more of it. It's pretty simple.
That. It sounds easy.
Yeah, well,
it sounds easy, although I feel like
time.
It took you some time to kind of figure it out.
Some stress.
And then now we're here at this sold out. I mean, this is technically the US debut tour, right?
It is.
Like, and it's sold out.
It is sold out.
How crazy is that? Talk to me about that.
It's pretty insane. I mean, it was funny because my team was like, well, we got to do live shows this year. And live shows are my favorite thing ever, right? Like literally my favorite thing ever. But I was nervous because like selling tickets is so stressful, especially when, you know, I started on TikTok and it's like so hard to see like what's going to happen, right? And so I was like, let's do a New York show and an LA show, maybe a London show. And they were like, no. You got to do like a real thing, like a real tour. And I was like, all right. And then we did like 8 dates and then we expanded. And now, everything's sold out. It's incredible.
Sold out, closing out here in LA. And then you just added more dates for next year this same tour. Like,
we did.
What has this tour experience been teaching you as far as like you being a performer, but also like when you now consider new music, like that creative process?
Oh my God, yes. It's actually made a huge difference.
Huge difference, right?
Yeah, because I think specifically, I mean, again, live is my favorite part. So I've always known this because it's why I started writing music.
Right.
But really like connecting with people from like this project specifically has been like on another level. I can test unreleased songs and see what people like and like see which parts people really gravitate towards. And it definitely has like told me like, oh, maybe I'll do a little more of this and a little less of that, a little more of this, you know? And so, it's been incredible. I feel very lucky.
Yeah. The fact that you also kind of have TikTok to kind of like bounce ideas to like, how does that, do you feel like it's similar to like a live show when you go on stage and you're performing these new songs to a different audience compared to like when you like put something up on TikTok, like, oh, let me test this song?
That's interesting. It's definitely different in the sense that TikTok, the issue with TikTok is you can spend so many hours just like staring at the video and then redoing it and then staring at it and then redoing it. Whereas like a live show, it's like,
this is it.
You're like, good luck. Like, hit it and run. So I would say I much prefer the like one take and done rather than the staring at a phone for hours.
Agreed. Now Scatterbrain EP dropped right in time for this tour.
It did.
You're technically testing these songs on this tour. How different are the songs now when you perform them live? Like, do you feel that you changed it during the process of like these dates?
Definitely. Sometimes if people feel like they're singing along more, I'll add a chorus and that'll be really fun.
Now the song is like 5 minutes instead of 2.
Exactly.
I get it.
Instead of 2, we make it like 15. But there's been a lot of that. Like for instance, like Cynical, I like jump into the crowd and like mosh, and that's like really fun. I feel like a lot of my songs were made to be live, especially Cynical is a good example. And then like Scatterbrain as well is like very fun. There's just, I feel like the live setting brings like a new dimension to my music. And so, it's been really, really sick. Really awesome.
Take me into that creative process. What kickstarted the writing process for this EP? Like, did you actively go into the studio with Boy Blue being like, hey, I want to write this EP. This is what I want to talk about. Or did you go into that studio with nothing in mind and then these songs just kind of created themselves as you started to do more and more sessions?
So I think the latter. I feel like I just throw things at the wall, and then once I like figure out where everything is settled, then I start to be really intentional with it and like pick and be like really, really picky with like every little decision. But in the beginning, it's like mostly experimentation, especially with like me and Boy Blue's relationship. Like I think the first song we wrote together was a song that's not on the project. The second song we wrote together was Cynical, which is like the title track of the tour. And then like since then, like everything just kind of fell into place. Like I think that's my favorite part about creativity is like I go in like waves.
Yeah.
And so when the wave kind of lands, I know where it's going. And that's how projects kind of come to be for me.
Yeah. Is that the same thing with like lyrical pockets or like vocal pockets?
Totally.
Same idea, same kind of like mentality. And then when it comes to this EP, like you give us so many different vocal ranges at the same time. Was this a natural progression for you with every song, or did you again go into this actively being like, you know, I want to go an octave higher, I want to go an octave lower, I want to try this, you know? What was that process like vocally?
I think it just followed like the waves.
Yeah.
Like I was writing a lot of like very hype songs when like Cynical was written.
Yeah.
Then I wrote a lot of like vibey songs when Scatterbrain was written. And then when like Dear Emily was written, I was like emos, you know, and then wrote like a bunch of ballads and then like, you know, and so I feel like all of those kind of just like placed itself.
Yeah.
And when I was picking the songs for the EP, I was like, well, I can't have too many ballads.
Yeah.
I can't have too many hype songs. I can't have too many of this, too many of that. So we just pick and chose from like all the songs that I've been writing. Like in a year, I write like 100 songs. I put out like 7.
I've
you know
been trying
what I mean?
to write
like,
one song my entire life, and that hasn't happened yet. So the fact
you gotta
that
not be a perfectionist about it. That's the answer. You just gotta like write horrible songs.
Yeah.
Just keep writing bad songs.
I feel like I'm amazing when I'm in the shower and I'm just singing.
Totally.
And there's no recording.
Me too.
But then when I'm actively trying, it's like I can't think of anything.
You're like, this is hard.
Yeah.
No. I genuinely think there's this quote that I've like lived by since I started writing, and it's an Ed Sheeran quote.
Okay.
And Ed Sheeran
I
was
don't know
like,
that guy.
dude, I don't know him either. He's a small up and coming
Yeah.
indie artist. But no, he
Game of
says
Thrones,
like
right?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
What? No, but he says that writing songs like turning on a rusty hose, and you have to let all the gunk out first before the pure water flows.
Ooh.
And for me, like when I first started writing, I think I wrote like 100 songs before anything was good.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, it just required persistence.
Yeah,
so
you're doing your work.
that's what I would recommend.
Okay, I'll
just
try
write
that
bad
again.
songs.
I'll try that
actively.
again.
Yeah.
I'll just release them on TikTok, and then hopefully something hits the wall.
The worse it is, the more viral it'll go.
That's true. I've noticed.
Exactly.
With this EP, the 7 tracks, which song would you feel like you felt more challenged with? Whether it was vocally, whether it was in the writing process, or just like trying to finalize the song itself?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think Dear Emily I was very particular about the vocals.
Yeah.
Like very particular. I think we went in so many times because I wanted it to be not perfect at all, actually, just very raw.
Yeah.
So I did it again and again and again. At first, it was almost too perfect, too like polished. I didn't like that. And then we did it again and again. And so I would say that one's the most particular just because it's very close to my heart.
Yeah.
It's a letter to myself. So it feels like I wanted to do it justice.
Yeah. And how does that impact you, being vulnerable? You know, not just on paper, but now you're recording it. You're being heard with an audience. Like, how does that kind of impact that process for you? And do you feel like you're okay just being vulnerable on your own, or does it take some time?
It's definitely hard. It depends on like the people who I'm writing with. I definitely can write more vulnerable songs with like, you know, producers and writers that I've worked with for a long time rather than like a bunch of strangers. Because that does happen, you know,
sense.
like that does happen. And so, yeah, I think it depends on the room. And it also depends on how I'm feeling that day. Like if you're like feeling sad and like in your bag and then you go into a session and you're like, let's write a hype song, feels like very weird, you know? So it definitely reflects like how I'm personally feeling.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How did Boy Blue challenge you this time around? And how did he allow you to like step out of that comfort zone, but at the same time be comfortable trying something new?
Totally. He is so talented. I mean, everything he does, a lot of the time I'm just like, oh, he's completing my musical sentences.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he'll go even farther. And a lot of the time I'm like riling him back, which is fun for me because I would much rather like rile someone back than push them harder.
Right.
Because like that's fun because that means he's pushing me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think our relationship has just been, we have a really great chemistry like when we work, and it's really fun for me. Yeah.
Now I love that, as I mentioned, with this EP you give us so many different kind of styles of music with your vocals and your voice, and then you just dropped a collaboration with NOTD, which is like, you know, it's awesome. Like for me, producers like EDM artists, like that's where I tend to discover female vocalists
for sure.
And it's awesome to kind of hear your voice with something like that. What was that experience like for you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it was the first ever like feature song I've ever done. So it was definitely new territory. But I had so much fun. The moment I heard the song, I was like, wow, this is catchy. Like I
Yeah.
could not get it out of my head for days. And then when I tried it and they loved my vocals, I felt like so lucky. And then since then, like we've like worked together a few times where we go into the studio, make the vocals better, and then we recorded, you know, like content together. And it's been just a blast. They're lovely, lovely guys. Like I'm so happy that we have a song together. It's so awesome. Yeah.
Was it challenging to work in that kind of atmosphere or that kind of like style of music?
I wouldn't say it was challenging. It felt just very different because normally with my music, like every little production detail I feel very strongly about because it's my production music. You know what I mean? But with like dance pop features, like it feels like it's a duet, right? It's like it's their production duetting my vocals, and so it's a very different experience in regards to like how I work with it as well. Yeah, it's really cool. I think it's opened a door for me as well. Like I'm curious as to where it's going, you know.
Absolutely, because then you can eventually like just be doing these kinds of festivals as well with these artists.
So fun.
Or even your own music, like Scatterbrain EP could have like Emei go and get some kind of like EDM, you know, remake or something.
Totally.
That'll be cool.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm also excited because I like look at the top cities of like where it's streaming. It's like cities that I have never even, you know, I'm like, that's so sick. Like I think one of the top cities for Hold On Me was like Tokyo. And I'm like, I would love to perform one day at Tokyo, you know? So anyways, it's been really great. I feel very honored. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations with Scatterbrain EP. Congratulations with this sold out tour.
Thank you.
You just added dates for next year, so you're already ready for 2024.
I'm so excited. I'm like, tour is awesome. I'm excited. Anyways.
So wrap this up. During this whole experience of like writing this record, prepping for this tour, what did you learn about yourself that you didn't know prior?
That's hard. In regards to specifically writing the EP?
In regards to writing, being an artist, being a vocalist.
Yeah.
Ways of, you know, stepping out of that comfort zone with your voice.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think I learned a lot about like the fact that I love a lot of different genres.
Yeah.
Like I don't really like to be like siloed into one space.
Yeah.
And like I am a theater kid, right? Like that is first and foremost who I am.
There we go.
So for me, like storytelling is everything. And so with this EP, I think it opened my eyes a little bit to what I could be making and what I will be making in the future. And I think that's the most exciting thing. So yeah, I'm excited for the new music next year.
Amazing. Can't wait. So we need to reconnect next year.
Yes, for sure.
For sure. We'll make it happen. You guys be sure to check out Emei. Scatterbrain EP is out now. And hopefully you get to catch her on tour in 2024 because this one just wrapped up.
Get your
and
tickets.
She sold it out. Thanks for watching on Front Row Live.